Afternoon to my fellow colleagues, Dr. Jitesh, Dr. Kandappan, Dr. Ruth, and others who are present over here, Dr. Ramjeet and Dr. Nikhil. Uh, it's a very mixed sort of a feeling that I used to go to tailors and teach over there sometimes, but now we are starting through virtual collaborations over here, and this is a nice beginning of the international collaborative series. We are having twofold sort of series. One, we have already the University of Jammu has initiated some of those, but this is a specific collaboration we are working out with tailors, and I should at the onset again thank Dr. Kandappan for helping me out with this and all these things, and he's been a real good help. Dr. Jitesh, welcome, and hope to have a nice interaction, and hope students over here will learn a couple of good things from us. And today's interaction, today's topic is going to be about some of the reflections about COVID-19 on vis-a-vis global economy and the crisis versus opportunities. I'm not going to actually start sharing my screen also because I hope most of you would understand, being in Jammu and Kashmir, we still are running on 2G over here because of certain restrictions around. So because of that, I don't want to spoil the bandwidth unnecessarily and system. So I'll be talking
Yeah.
about it. And we have a couple of ways that we have decided. If time permits, I'll take questions immediately after my lecture, or Jitesh can continue with his lecture, and then we can take questions in the end also. And there's another aspect that even if we are not able to take all the questions, you all can email them to us, put them in the chat box. Nikhil, Dr. Ramjeet, and I hope Dr. Ruth, they all would be compiling them up, and we'll see to it that their answers are delivered. We have also worked out a YouTube channel and a Facebook page, so we'll be posting those answers also over there. So these are going to be some of the things. So cutting the long story short, let's start with what my thoughts about this economic development and economic scenario, as well as vis-a-vis the various crises and opportunities that we have. I have been constantly talking about one very important factor. We all keep talking about, this is my standard punchline, the way I started, that we have been talking about post-COVID, and everybody's thinking about those things, that what should be strategies post-COVID and how will we come out of this post-COVID scenario. My first take on this is that COVID is going nowhere for another 3 months, 4 months, 5, 6 months. And that's a long time span if we look at it from economic angle. If we look at from a company's point of view, or a business point of view, or a hotel point of view, or a tourism point of view, or airlines perspective, that's a long time span. 6, 8 months, you cannot sit idle and just wait for the things to happen. So we have to have strategies which talk about the fact that which during COVID also we are able to build up something, we are able to work on few things, and which actually help the industry to at least take care of some of that liquidation crisis or liquidity crisis that they have, the resource crunch they have, and how do they work on. Uh, we all are aware of two very important things now. At this moment, my take is there are two very important drivers that will enable tourism to run, or travel, tourism, hospitality, airlines to run. One is going to be obviously the economic growth, obviously how the businesses around us will start working and how they would start developing and how they would be working on things. And the second is going to be a very critical factor, that is vaccination. Vaccine is also going to play a very important role. How this vaccine comes up, when does it come up, how does it build up, that's going to be a very important aspect. We all know that this is a recession time, and if there is no vaccination, depression is going to keep growing, and it's going to build up in a very big way. During crisis or after crisis, travel will not be same. This is a marked word. There will be new normals in the world. Whatever we earlier used to take for granted, and we used to say that these are the normals in the world, they are going to change. There'll be totally new normals in the world. New protocols are going to come over. Behavioral habit change of doing businesses is going to work up. Now, what I understand is that companies will be more proactive. TMCs, travel management companies, need to bring up more value to their services. And these more values would be towards the behavioral aspect. These values would be towards the aspect sanitization aspect and other health related aspects, which actually will drive your brand, which will actually drive your company, and which will actually help you to understand whether this TMC is worth doing business with or not. So one of the very important aspects that we are looking at over here is the change in protocols. Now, another important driving factor which drives travel business is confidence. Now, this confidence is very important. The customer, the traveler, the businessman who's going to do business with these TMCs or with airlines or any hotel or hospitality industry should have confidence in the fact that whatever protocols that, for example, Government of India has given certain protocols, Malaysian government has given certain protocols. Internationally, there are many protocols that have been set up vis-a-vis COVID is concerned. So will that organization, with the TMC with which we are doing business, the airlines or the hotel that we are doing, the businessman or the customer has to have confidence in execution of those protocols, whether these protocols are actually going to be executed on ground or not. There might be X number of protocols made by WHO, which would say that for first travels, for the travelers or for the businessmen, these things needs to be done. For leisure travel, for business travel, and all those things. They would be giving setting standards that, okay, this should be, health checkup should be there, or some vaccination should be, whatever protocols that they set up. Execution of those protocols is going to be a very important aspect. Thus, the TMCs, or thus the students over here who are going to be part of the TMCs in times to come, should understand the fact that honesty in execution of the protocols is going to be very important. Travel brand safety, that's going to be another very important aspect. Confidence in the travel brand that you are using. For example, customers in times to come, this is just a speculation, may not have confidence in BNBs. They might feel that, okay, some BNBs will not be hygienic enough to go and be part of it, but they will be having more confidence in brands like Hyatt or Marriott's and all those stuff. So travel brand safety, or people would not like to travel in maybe some Chinese airline, but they would like to travel in MH, Malaysian Airlines or Air India. So travel brand safety is going to be very, very important. The third important aspect is going to be confidence in that how safe my travel is. How safe my travel is. By that, what I mean to say is that what amount of practices the hotel or the hospitality industry or the airlines has taken to make my travel safe. What sort of practices they are implementing? What are the things that they are looking at? And a very important aspect is going to be we all as customers, we all who are using these services, we will be the first travelers, or whosoever is the first traveler, how these first adopters who have adopted these fresh guidelines and have started using travel share their experiences, word of mouth. The safe travel experiences need to be shared. So it's a very important aspect for all of us who are major stakeholders in the hospitality and tourism industry. That speaks about my students also, all the students present over here, all the teachers, that we have to share our experiences. Whosoever amongst us travels first should share, whether it is a positive or a negative, or has to give certain, what I say, upgradation to those protocols is to be done. That needs to be talked about. Share those. Share your travel experiences, and if they are safe travel experiences, share them more. And these first adopters' safe travel experiences are going to be very, very important. If we as tourism TMCs, or if we as future managers of TMCs or DMOs look at it, the first movers, a very important aspect would be who will be the first movers now. My take is the first movers will be the domestic travelers. The domestic travel is going to pick up first. They are going to be the first movers, and that is going to be the one which we should also concentrate on. If you as students are making strategies for your TMCs, or if tomorrow you join them as managers, as various DMOs, if you are making it, try to strengthen your domestic travel. That's going to be the first. They are going to be the first movers who are going to move around, who are going to build up, and small little trips. This is going to begin with very, very small little trips, maybe a resort 50 kilometers from your house, 100 kilometers away from your house, and you start visiting them. People are going to take baby steps, are going to take very, very small steps. They are not straight away from Kuala Lumpur. They are not straight away going to go to Hawaii or they're not straight away going to go to Peru or somewhere like that, or to down south to Australia. No, they're not going to do that. That's not going to pick up for the first time. First will be your domestic travel within your close nearby. And India is Malaysia is a small country, but India is a big country. Even one coast to coast, or if north to south, it is more than 3,000 miles. So that domestic travel is even larger. It takes even more time, or even maybe the similar time as going to Malaysia. So domestic travel is going to be very, very important. So you as managers, future managers, should concentrate. This is an opportunity that you look at, that I have to see to it that my domestic destinations, domestic spots, domestic areas are taken care of. The second aspect in domestic travel would be religious tourism. This is going to be the second very important aspect, which is going to pick up, because religious tourism is always driven by, the main driver over here is emotions. Emotions drive your religious tourism, and that's going to be a very, very big aspect. You know, all the participants or students from India must be very well aware of. But for my Malaysian students, I'll tell you, I live in a city just 40 kilometers from my place. There's a deity, there's a religious tourism destination where 10 million people come every year. So that's a huge number. A destination or a small spot getting 10 million tourists in an year. So the whole economy of Jammu and Katra and Vaishno Devi is driven by that. And we know Makkah. So you can say how many people visit there. And it's going to be emotion driven. It's not going to be something like that, okay, I don't need to go, or my safety and all that. Those things will be there. But some part, your emotional angles will vary. And that's going to be very, very important. So you as future managers of DMOs, think about religious tourism as another thing, how we can evolve it. Small housekeeping announcement. Nikhil, please let me know. Please ping me when when I've shot my time, or when I'm done with my time. Okay.
Sure.
The next aspect vis-a-vis first movers is going to be your business travel. Now, necessity of making transactions is going to be very, very important. We all need to make transactions. All businesses need to grow. Yes, under present circumstances, businesses have learned to have virtual collaborations. They have thought of building up of virtual collaborations, and they're making use of it. For the benefit of students, I share with you, now we are having virtual classes and classrooms and all those things. But the essence of face-to-face interaction is altogether different. That's a very, very important aspect. I started virtual collaborations and virtual classes way back in August 2005. That's 15 years back. Even Jitesh was in school, I think, those days. So that's a long time back. I started virtual classes, but the whole or actual kick or actual interaction was always favored, all the benefits. Business travelers today are having Zoom meetings, are having meetings through websites and all things. But yes, they will never, or you will never be able to discount out the face-to-face interactions. Face-to-face interactions, because when there will be a lot of money involved in transactions, people would want to have face-to-face interactions. So necessary transactions. That is going to be the next thing that is going to drive. So you as managers of DMOs, you as managers of TMCs have to take a look at this thing. You have to see to it that how it can be taken care of, or how things vis-a-vis business managers can be taken care of. Yes, earlier it might be that there are huge MICE meetings or big meetings going on, and each company sends 10 people. Now they might be sending 1 or 2 only, but these are going to be very, very important. And after that would come the leisure aspect, which I feel is once there is decrease in fear amongst the people, economy starts stabilizing, confidence of travelers start coming in. That is going to be very, very important aspect. Now, once we start thinking of traveling and all those things, obviously one very important crux that is that peace of mind. So obviously, once we are looking at peace of mind, I say that not everybody would be that price conscious now. The first movers may not be that price conscious. Yes, I'm not saying that you can double up your prices or something of that sort. But yes, 10 to 15 to 20% increase in prices is bound to happen. That is going to happen because of various aspects, various problems that companies have faced, and all those things. But that is that is an important aspect, and that I don't think business travelers will actually be very worried about and would be thinking of. For the businesses, for the TMCs, what I see is during COVID, you should start at least working on various strategies. The one very important aspect is that you start working on your break-even point for each businesses. As in the start of my lecture, I said that liquidity or is a very important aspect. Cash in hand is a very important aspect, and there is liquidity crisis amongst the various economies over here. So we understand everybody is suffering loss. So what my strategy or what my idea is to minimize those losses, then move towards no loss, and then move towards profit. So don't straight away think about profits. Look at what your break-even policies are, whatever your break-even point is. Start looking at this and see how your BEP strategies match with the operational guidelines being given by, or the protocols being given by Government of India, Malaysian government, or WHO, and all these things. Even if you are able to operate at 25% or 40% of your business or 50% of your business, that's going to be a very important factor. That's going to be a factor, because at least some change is going to start, some rotation of money is going to start, and this rotation of money can actually take care of some liquidity crunch and can help you build it up. Even if airlines are operating at 50% occupancy on profitable sectors, identify the profitable sectors and start operating at 50% occupancy. Some of the expenses will be taken care of. Staff can work on rotational basis. And what I'm not confirming this news, but I saw a report yesterday only, and when I was trying to build a few things, that American Airlines has taken off all the middle row seats in their aircrafts. Somebody can reconfirm it. I'm not very sure about it, but I did read about it, and that's why I'm sharing with you that American Airlines has started with removing all the middle row seats. So that is what we are referring towards. Is the very important concept globally is being used as social distancing. Personally, I don't say it is social distances. It is actually physical distancing that we want. Social distancing, we need to come more closer socially, because we are in crisis, we are in problems. We have to be socially close to each other to support each other. So there should not be any social distancing, but there should be physical distancing amongst us, 1 meter, 2 meter gap. So that's what they are doing. They're removing the middle seats. So you all can go back, Google, and maybe somebody is able to find out whether it is correct or not. But I feel, because I read it in a very important report on a very reputed newspaper, so I think this might be correct only. So that's what I'm thinking of, that start building up. In US, they have near about 95% of people are not flying. Flights are getting cancelled, although they have not stopped the operations of their flights. But still, the flights are being cancelled, and they are taking bookings. But that's why I would say even 50% of operations that if you are able to take care of, that's going to be very, very important. Another very important thing that you look at is that for airlines or cruise ships, that a lot of sanitation on board needs to be done now. It's not going to be the same that the aircraft lands and within 1 hour or 2 hours you do the housekeeping aspect, and the turnaround time is 2 hours or 1.5 hours or 2 hours. No, now the airlines will have to have a longer turnaround. So you as managers should guide them working in airlines and all that. It might be now a 4-hour turnaround or a 5-hour standard flight, which had a 2-hour or a 50 minutes or 1 hour turnaround time. It will have a bigger turnaround time, 3 hours, because proper sanitation on board needs to be done. And this is going to be true for the cruises also. Cruises are proper sanitation on board. So each and every seat of the plane has to be sanitized, has to be taken care of before the reboarding or the boarding for the next flight is done. I understand that a lot of people will start talking about the fact of cost in this, and this cost needs to be to the cost of the tickets. That's important. But that's why I said that customers will not be worried about paying little premium of 15, 20, 25% if they know that their travel is safe, if they know that proper sanitization has been done. And as I already told you, that American Airlines has already started removing the middle seats. So obviously they start factoring this cost other seats. All the other day I was talking with Jitesh, and we came across a news cuts. So another very important aspect over here is going to be that earlier we used to say that the boarding gate is going to close at 45 minutes, or you have to report 60 minutes before the flight. Now you might have to report 2 hours before the flight, 2.5 hours before the flight, because you need to have those temperature checks in place. Those blood tests, those rapid blood tests needs to be done. Government of India has announced that they will be producing 20 lakh new kits. 20 lakhs is 2 million. 2 million kits, testing kits every month from May onwards. So these testing will be very cost effective, and they will range somewhere from $14 to $15 to $40. So their cost will be between $14 to $15 to $40. So they'll be factoring these costs, and they need to be taken care of. Now, you all would ask me that, okay, if somebody testing is done, or temperature comes out that he's carrying, or he might be a possible infected person, and he's sent back, what happens? So we need to have flexible cancellation policy. Now the cancellation policy is going to be very, very flexible. And it's not going to be that you are going to refund only 50% money. In such cases, you'll have to refund close to 95% of the money. 92, you exclude the testing cost and you refund the rest. And then the role of the insurance companies comes into it. So there will be a greater role of the insurance companies also coming into it, and they would also be looking at how to do these things and how to work it out. So it's not going to be that one industry is going to work towards building it up. Other industries have to pitch in, have to start working in. Opportunities are there. The opportunities are there, but how we mold those opportunities, how we build them, how we make ourselves more comfortable while using those opportunities. That's going to be a very, very important aspect. Insurance sectors. And another very important opportunity for our students over here is, see, hospitality and tourism professionals are closest to one very important stream, which is now playing a big role these days worldwide. That's she takes them to the hotels. She tells them how to be courteous, how to be polite, how to take care of your customers, and what actually healthcare professionals are doing. They are also taking care of their patients. They are the closest. So hospitality tourism students are the closest to them. Obviously, they don't have the technical knowledge, but they have those etiquettes, those mannerism, and they have those cleanliness aspect. So they can also be used. This is an opportunity for our students to be used in healthcare aspects also, where non-surgical, non-invasive things are required, where basic healthcare is required, so that these basic healthcare professionals are relieved from there and they go into the emergencies and they handle other things. So that's an area where a lot of job opportunities are going to be. And what we have been seeing is that I got a news yesterday that Walmart need hospitality, tourism, and professionals also, because once they are improving on their virtual platforms, once they are innovating on their virtual platforms, they would also need that what hospitality and tourism industry graduates have the knowledge, they would also be using those particular things to build up those platforms, to rebuild, to rework those platforms. I have many things to talk about, but I think I've shot my time by another 1.5 minutes. So I'll just stop over here. Obviously, you all would be interacting with me on the next lecture also, when one is going to be there. So I will be continuing with my thoughts, but Jitesh is the key person today. He's not going to be available to us next time. So he needs more time, and I'll try to give it to him. If anybody has any thoughts or any questions for me, you can just type those out, and Nikhil will send them over to me and I'll answer them. Jitesh, what's your idea? Should I take questions now, or we can take it afterwards?
Thank you so much, Prof. Actually, I was checking the chat, and there are few of the questions actually, and probably those questions I will be covering in my talk.
Yes, sir. And sorry to interrupt. Few of the questions have also been sent to me as well. So I'm keeping the record of those questions as well.
ठीक है
So yeah.
okay.
Okay, it was really inspiring talk. You have shared lots of things. I'm really okay with few of them, but few I'm really want to contra with. Like a domestic tourism definitely is going to be a boom, and China has already started the domestic tourism. And I was just reading the news, and Bali is already getting ready for the Chinese tourist by next month actually, because Bali it's like more than 1 million tourists used to travel from China only to the Bali actually, and Bali is getting ready for the Chinese tourists from mainland China. Means international tourism is also not that far. Also sharing with your peers actually the experience of positive, negative, word of mouth. It can be word of mouth or whatever. Definitely, it's the most important if we really want to tackle this scenario faster. With regards to airline and SOP, actually, Emirates has already started. Actually, I was just reading the news, international news, and Emirates was checking the blood samples and everything actually. And before the boarding, before getting in the plane, actually, each passenger has to go through the test. Actually, I'm not sure about the policy, what are the packages, how much it will be charged, who is taking care of it. But definitely, it's going to be applied to different international airlines soon. So, with that regard, thank you so much, Prof. I would like to share my screen, and I hope you guys can take away some of the points from my presentation. And I would like to. Okay,
Yeah, Jitesh, it's a nice idea if you can cover up some of the questions over there. So in the end, we'll take the question answers. That's a nice idea.
Okay, I just switch off my cam so I can share my screen. Okay, I hope everyone can see the screen, right? Right. I hope volume is fine now, and you all can see my screen also, right? So it's really fantastic, and I'm really humbled to be on here to talk about this topic: reflection of COVID-19 and global economic crisis versus opportunity. Well, it depends on the personality actually. That how do you take this? Well, definitely, if we want to take or if we don't want to take, crises are already there. But if you have a positive thinking and you want to take this crisis as an opportunity, then it will be a fantastic actually. For many of us, it has been a stunning experience to find ourselves adjusting our daily routine to take safety precaution to make ourselves safe, to save our loved ones, save our neighbors. But meanwhile, I have seen actually for last 2 weeks that it's an opportunity actually. That's the reason we all are here together and sharing our experience actually. Well, definitely it's having a huge impact on our global economy. So my presentation will be covering two things: one more towards the crisis, one more towards the opportunity, and then I will be concluding which one is in a high load. Prior to the spread of COVID-19 or any sort of, I'm not just covering this COVID-19, any sort of global issue, any sort of this crisis actually, we always think that it's very hard to change the system actually. But due to this crisis, we are changing the system because at the end, we don't have any other option actually. So these crises or these issues actually leading us to change, to have some transform in our system, impact on a global economy. Like I just want to share few of the statistics and then I will go further. Minimum global GDP loss is USD 2.63 trillion, is 3.1% will be a loss due to only this particular crisis. Downsizing, merger, closing down of business definitely is affecting throughout the globe. And job loss, 50 million jobs will be cut actually only due to this particular issue throughout the world. It's not only tour and travel industry, but of course direct or indirect industries which are uh, contributing to the tourism umbrella. And only in the US actually, it was very shocked when I saw this news. Only US tourism industry will lose at least 24 US dollar billion on 2020. Hello, is it okay? Okay,
Yeah, Jitesh, you
Yes,
are
sir.
audible. Yes,
Continue,
you are audible, Jitesh.
all
Go
right,
on.
that's great. So I just continue. Like only in the US, only in America, 24 US dollar billion only in 1 year, 2020. So it's like a huge effect actually, huge negative. Of course, we are taking as a crisis, but what exactly we are learning from this actually? Another report was showing that 63.8% global tourism industry may shrink more by 50% due to pandemic in 2020. What Prof. Rakshat was saying actually, that it will definitely shrink. The travel ratio, the expenditure, the tourist expenditure, everything will be shrinking actually. But 63.8 percentage of a traveler who say cancel their plans due to this pandemic, now cancel their plans for long haul flights, for short haul flights. They were supposed to travel next week, next 6 months, next year, next 2 years. How long it will take actually? So that's the question. We need to find the actual answer. That okay, I used to travel very often actually. I'm sure Prof. Rakshat used to travel almost every month internationally actually. But now, of
Yeah.
course not. He won't be thinking at least this year actually. After December, I will be checking again. Are you safe to go? Because we have to check so many SOPs. As Prof mentioned that you are the boarding time, like you have to be at the airport like 2 hours before or 3 hours before, and before beside your passport, beside the valid ticket, beside the boarding card, you must have another certificate that you are safe to travel. There could be so many other documentations required, so many other precautions we have to take care. Tourism economic impact, of course everything has a pros and cons. So in this way we are taking negatively. Okay, we have lots of cons in this order. Drop in tourism expenditure by 60%. Of course, when we are not traveling, we are not spending in the host destination. And of course, it's not only the direct impact, indirect, induce, and so many other effect actually. There's no multiplier actually. That particular thing is not starting actually at all. The recovery period approx 1 year. I was looking at the chat while profs talk, like it will take 6 months or 8 months. I don't think so actually. It can take it's like a comma thing. It can take 1 year or 10 years actually. I don't understand, because it's subject to country. Maybe most developed country who got hit very badly, but they have a chance, they have resources to come back very faster. But if you look at the less developed country, I take example of my own country, Pakistan actually. Well, Vietnam or Indonesia or Brunei or Laos actually, in this Southeast Asia, maybe they got hit not that seriously, but definitely it will be taking long time to cover back, to recover back. Full recovery in a long term, probably 3 to 4 years or maybe 1 decade. It depends actually. We don't understand and we don't know. Well, directly or indirectly, but let's, if we look at the industries or the companies who got hit directly due to this pandemic, of course airline, of course the accommodations, the hotel industry, and then F&B services actually. All the restaurants are open, but we cannot eat over there. Only takeaway is allowed actually. And if we focus on tourism industry, then 45% of the gross value added was reduced only for the airline. 50,000 plus aircraft are grounded actually, and their maintenance cost is more than what they were used to earn if they are in sky. Accommodation, 54% is reduced in gross value added. Most of the hotels are empty actually. I was just checking with a few of the five-star hotel in Kuala Lumpur actually. Well, majority of hotels are empty, but there was some strategy that few of the hotels used to have a long term plans actually. The people are staying over there for 6 months, 1 year, or more than that actually. And the people who got stuck here actually, they wanted to go back but they can't. So no choice, they are still staying in the hotels. The same thing goes with the F&B. 47% hit by gross value added was hit by this pandemic. I just want to share the example of one city in US, in New York's lockdown have affected movement. Now movement, lockdown in every city, every country, of course it's very common now. But is it a good or bad? Of course we are well educated and we know that it's good for ourselves actually. Just yesterday in Malaysia, lockdown has been extended to 12th of May. Yes. And it's like a second third time that they have extended, and we are very much sure that they will extend again by end of May, until end of May probably. Now in this picture, in this graph, you can see there is something which going towards the negative, which shown in the orange color. Something is in the blue color, residential actually. So negative, transit station, retail, recreation, parks, workplaces, grocery, and pharmacy actually, no one is going over there. So it means the movement of people to these particular places has been reduced. Well, it's a good, but other way around is bad also, because transit station, so no one is using train, no one is having a recreational activities, no one is going to the parks. So no revenue over there. Probably after some time, the people who were working in the parks administration will lose their job. It depends. Residential, of course, people are staying at home, they are getting bored, but no choice, actually they have to stay at home. Due to coronavirus, people around the world have canceled their travel plans. Government and health official have warned the public to avoid boarding cruise ships and long flights. Major events including Olympics is also cancelled or postponed. Actually, the World Cups, the academic conferences, seminar, workshop, everything is cancelled or postponed, or they have moved to the this medium which we are using right now. Also, beside that, I want to share another example of Barcelona tourism 2020. Of course, all of us know that Barcelona is one of the fantastic city of Spain, and used to attract a number of tourists. Actually, they were having the issue of over tourism over there, and the local people were not happy of it. Actually, over 30 million tourists were expected for this year, but now, of course, we all can expect. I don't know what happened actually. When we expect something, actually, and then we plan accordingly, we put our resources, we do our supply accordingly. Urban balance, tourist accommodation planning, a clear commitment to sustainability, other clear involved benefits to citizen, everything vanished, everything went off. Actually, we don't understand what will happen to this particular destination. Why I'm sharing this only example, because before this pandemic, actually, before this epidemic, before this crisis, actually, people were not happy because of the tourist negative issue. Though tourist spending accounts for nearly a fifth of revenue generated by the city commercial sector, the profit engine has been polarizing with many of Barcelona's 1.6 million inhabitants, the negative effect of over tourism. So majority of the local people of that host destination were not happy with that. Now, should we take as a positive for them, or should we take as a negative? Because indirectly, actually, they got hit in terms of their revenue also, because the people who were working in this industry, they won't be having a proper revenue, proper income, proper job status and lifestyle. So eventually Barcelona goes from over tourism to no tourism. So again, I see opportunity and crisis both together at the same time in Barcelona. So what to take from this presentation, COVID-19 crisis and reflection. Actually, I just conclude in four major points, this reflection, that it's a good or bad. Attractive, adaptive learning. Flexibility and adaptive capacity are crucial at the time when events unfold rapidly, and the household communities and leaders must constantly adjust to a new reality on a day-by-day basis. The situation has also brought to forefront a deeper appreciation to importance of the reliable, high quality, timely data for decision making. Well, it's good. Engagement of the multiple sector. Before that, I'm not really sure how many the actors or the stakeholders were working together, but due to this crisis, government is bringing everyone together. And I have a fantastic example of China, which I will be sharing with this, for this particular point. Um, the crisis has understood the essential role of government in preparing for and responding to the crisis and ensuring that basic needs of individual, especially the most marginalized, are met. Now, more than ever, the duty of the government to provide social services, safety nets, and investment in a global public good is clear, actually. So government job is changing, actually, what exactly they were supposed to do and what exactly they are doing right now. The China's example, for example, to help the millions of students to continue to learn remotely while schools are closed due to COVID-19 in China. China launched a national online learning platform for junior and senior high school students and broadcast of primary school classes in the public television network, actually. So they launched exactly a new channel, a public channel, just to educate the students, actually, in a different at the different level by using the television network. Then we have a knowledge sharing and peer-to-peer learning. Of course, we used to share knowledge. Sharing is caring. We used to share with our students, our employees, our peers, and so on. Okay, I just saw the chat and voice is sharing in the peer-to-peer learning. If ever there was a time to learn from one another and avoid repeating mistake, my colleague have the same mistake. So it is a time actually that we are sharing with others. Actually, we often say we are a global community, but this crisis has made these words all in a real one actually. But previously we just used to say the word is a global village actually, but now due to COVID we all are together and we are doing some reflection of our knowledge actually, what we know and what we want to share with others. In some ways COVID-19 has leveled the played field. Wealthy countries are unable to include or insulate themselves from virus that doesn't respect borders or discriminate based on socio-economic status, gender, race and religion actually. So this is the COVID-19 which confirms us that there's not such a discrimination, everyone is equal, and most of the developing countries are having this issue. I'm sorry. Innovation in education, one of the silver lining, one of the best thing of this COVID-19, the opportunity which we are having actually. Over here, before I go for this innovation and education, I would like to share another example. uh, Not an example actually, which I came to know recently due to another webinar which I was having with another colleague back in Pakistan. The colleague is working in Unilever, of course it's a multinational company, and due to COVID-19, due to this lockdown, no one can go to the retailer or wholesaler to take the order. Wow. Okay, so overnight they came up with the application and they asked all the retailer and wholesaler to download that application and place the order accordingly, and the same day or very next day the delivery the supply chain will place their order. So my question was actually, is it a negative or positive actually? Multinational company Unilever, FMCG, actually they can have this application so long ago. They don't need a person, they don't need a human being which goes door to door or shop to shop to take this order actually. So only due to this COVID-19 they realize, okay, there is a need of that application. Coming back to the innovation and education, one of the silver lining from this crisis may very well and reimagining what education can and should be in 21st century. This may include a global community doubling down on investment to reinsure a continued educational opportunities in situations of instability and crisis. The COVID-19 is already having and will continue to have a devastating consequences for individual or communities across the globe. But how we are plan to come over this actually must not be underestimated. At the same time, the crisis also provide a critical opportunity for us to learn more about the essential principles. How to come over? There are few things actually which we can look after and which are already being utilized actually. So I just want to have some highlights, shed some lights. Financial recovery plan, cost cutting actually. We don't know, we are not making money, let's cut the employee, we don't need that number of employees. Well, that's a bad strategy actually, and most of the governments throughout the world uh, uh, they are against it actually. Okay, or the companies are asking employees to go for paid leaves and so on. Well, I'm not supposed to actually, I'm not willing to actually, I'm ready to work, but due to this COVID-19 I can't work physically or face to face. So they are forcing employees, closing facilities, floors and wings to cut the cost, deferring capital investment, and the most important one is management salary cuts. Well, I don't know how many of us really agree with it, but it depends actually. We don't need to cut a particular salary actually, because if we cut the salary, then more of the percentage will go towards one-sided, and we don't know how to manage with this particular situation. The second financial recovery plan can be a revenue management. Whatever the incoming, whatever the revenue we are having actually, how to manage it. Okay, definitely incoming is much lesser than outgoing actually. Working with industry association and government actually, what we can get from government actually, is there a government having some subsidiary for our industry or our company, offering deeply discounted packages, forming strategic marketing alliances, and the focus on increasing domestic tourism on short run actually. Of course, domestic tourism on a short run is the most important actually, because to bring out the confidence of the people that we are safe actually. And before we go in the at the global level and market actually we are safe, we have to start working at the the short run. I would like to bring another example, Bali bombing 2009 actually, and within 23 days actually they recovered back, and 23 or 24 days actually the tourists were there actually. Bali bombing actually, okay, another terrorist threat actually, that's also another crisis actually. But now the thing is how much prepared we are to tackle that scenario. Critical success factor for the recovery, of course, strong brands, multinational companies, FMCGs, which are already a strong brands, they are confident, the customers are already having a fantastic brand, the brand image. Over here the Prof Rakshat was talking about airlines actually. Probably people will avoid to travel with the Chinese airline. Well, I don't know actually. Remember the couple of years back there was an issue with a Malaysian airline. I think two or three Malaysian airline, MH, I'm extremely sorry, I forgot the number actually. That airline got missing actually. Well, everyone was avoiding to travel with a Malaysian airline, but with the passage of time, it gone actually. Now we don't think about the past actually, what happened with the Malaysian airline. If I need to travel, if the Malaysian airline is only the cheapest or the direct access, actually, that's my first priority. So we don't think about what happened in the past. And the same thing actually, the tourism industry is very fragile industry actually, it get hit very easily, but there are so many other ways to come back actually faster, because people can't stay home. See, everyone, all of us actually, we are locked at home and we are crying why we are locked actually, even though we know, but we cannot. Same thing goes with the tourism. Everyone wants some leisure, everyone wants some pleasure time actually. So it won't be that longer to cover back. Better communication technology is focusing on restoring travel confidence. How to restore the travelers confidence that we are safe and we are back to the business, and it's a very clear for all of us. Proven record of management expertise actually, we are ready, we were ready, and we will be ready for all these type of crises, and we know how to manage actually. We have a fantastic team to deal with. Strong financial support, well, this is the last point, and which we don't have, almost every company you don't used to have. So what will be the who will be the sponsoring company, who will be the sponsoring agency to cover back actually? Either we should have some backup cash flow, or we have some loan or anything actually. And most of the banks in different countries have already started these type of schemes actually, especially for SMEs actually, who got hit very very badly. So the point is, who will be the actual winner in this post pandemic economy? Which company, which industry, which corporation actually, or what type of corporation will be having a fantastic business actually? Of course we are using Zoom actually, but previously, before this epidemic, I was not aware of Zoom at all actually. I was using a Facebook Messenger, or we were using that Microsoft team, we were using Skype, we were using so many other platforms, but Zoom, I don't know actually. Only due to this crisis I came to know. And I was just checking what is the statistics actually. There were only 10 million users for Zoom in 2005 to 2008, and recently there are 50 million users. And for last 3 months actually, 200 million user for Zoom only. So of course Zoom, I believe so, Zoom is the winner of this pandemic economy actually. Businesses that use cloud computing will not buckle up under the pressure of coronavirus pandemic. Further, the automation and artificial intelligence will enhance the resilience of supply chain. Definitely, supply chain will have a fantastic advantage on it. Meanwhile, supply chain are having a reconfigure themselves in a real time, as the demand for PPE, personal protective equipment, ventilator, and other medication spike. Manufacturer are having a retool and reinvest themselves. Then we have a successful businesses will have a combination of resilience and agility. How strong you are, how and how long you can survive in this industry, and how long you can compete with the market leaders and so on. Here is the example of the Zoom which I was sharing. Now only in the US, just 1 week from 26 March to 1st of April, 3.2 million downloads for Zoom only, followed by TikTok, Hangout meeting, and the last one is Microsoft Team, actually 0.7 million. Only in 1 week, only in US actually. So if you look at the worldwide, only in the last 3 months, 200 million downloads and the active user who are using Zoom very, very perfectly actually. With that, thank you so much. I stop share my screen and right, back to Nikhil, please. Hello, Nikhil.
Thank you, Dr. Jitesh sir, for your words of wisdom. I mean, I'm very sure that this would be a very fruitful kind of knowledge which you have imparted amongst our students. And I'm sure, I mean, whatever you have spoken about and Professor Manas, that would be, would be useful for our students for their future perspective, trainings and placements. So I have so many questions received in my inbox. So I would request both of you if I can start with the bombarding few questions. I mean,
Actually, if you have copied all those questions in the Word file, you can share your screen so we can see the question and then the same simultaneously we can see.
Sure. Yes, I can do that. But for that, I need a few seconds for the formatting. So
Sure.
yeah. So just if you can give me a few seconds.
Sure, please.
Yeah.
Right, all the participants, instead of raising hand, you can type the message actually, so it's easy because if we on the mic for a particular person, then
So can you see the questions?
just give me 1 second.
Yeah, I can
Yes,
see
I
the
can.
questions.
Yeah.
The
So
questions.
yes. So these are the questions which have been given by the students. So the question one is after this pandemic, is the opportunity.
Nikhil, before we start taking the questions, how much time we have left for the session?
Sir, we
We
have
still have
kept.
20 minutes.
Yeah, sir, we have 15-20 minutes.
20 minutes. No, 20 minutes for the session, and then I think in the end, for 5 minutes for Ramjit and Ruth to
Yes,
just sum it
exactly.
up, or Ramjit can sum it up,
Right, sir.
whoever is there.
Right, sir.
So we'll take a couple of questions and you keep taking note of them. So
Right.
the first question, Jitesh, is after this pandemic will be more or not? That too in food production. So you're going to take it or should I?
Well, I can take this question, but I'm not really sure about the food production, but I can talk in a general for tourism industry. Yes.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. After
Go
this
ahead, go
pandemic,
ahead.
is the opportunity will be more or not? Well, opportunity, because we were just having a comparison of opportunities and crisis. Definitely, crisis comes with opportunity, and if we are a positive person, we should take as a opportunity for each and everything. Opportunities will be more or not in a tourism and hospitality industry, subject to, I think, yes actually. Well, this crisis is for a time being, for a shorter term, for 6 months or 1 year maximum actually, because hotels and tourism industry, they are not going to shut down their business easily actually. They will be there, demand will be there, as we have discussed, myself and Prof also, that we have to start with the domestic tourism, but eventually after some time they will have a demand for international tourism, and once we are back in the business, then definitely there will be opportunities.
Okay. Thank you, sir. The
And I will add further to that. Yes, obviously, opportunities are going to grow as the businesses are going to grow. So we actually are going to reach the lowest ebb, and from the lowest ebb, we have to again start working up. So opportunities are going to be there, but opportunities will only be for those people who are able to maintain those quality standards. They are be very, very cautious about what they eat, what they buy, what they use, what they do. So they are going to be very cautious about it. I know in the European countries or in the developed countries, scenario is different. People were always cautious, but in developing countries, it was not like that. People used to manufacturing facilities or production facilities were actually in totality adhering to the food standards and all those things. So now all food standards are going to go at a very high level, and there's going to be a lot of testing on those levels. So people were able to give quality products conforming with the food standards. Those are the ones which are going to be bought now, and not everybody is going to be in the business of in this particular aspect. So that is because of that, lot of players are going to wiped out. Who were not giving quality products, they will be wiped out, and the rest of them are going to keep working. Yes.
While Prof was talking, actually, I was going through this question, and I'm very much interested to reply question number 4 and question number 6 specifically. Question number 4: what will be the impact of COVID-19 on admission in hospital and tourism management colleges and the upcoming session? Well, colleges or universities will definitely there will have a demand actually. All the sudden, well, we are expecting a good number in August semester actually, because we didn't cancel our, and most of the universities, especially the private universities actually, the international university, they didn't cancel their session or cancel their semester, actually extended, but still is ongoing, more towards the virtual actually, more towards the online. And the same thing goes with the next sessions actually, because students won't waste their time, they have to go. If the demand is there, the universities are offering, of course I believe so, whoever is offering, there will be having more demand for especially the private universities, and definitely the number will grow for it.
Yeah, and I'll add with that. Again, the same principle applies. Like as I told you, that hospitality and tourism industry, it's going to keep growing, and it's one of the fastest growing industries. And in all the earlier recessions, this was the industry which was able to sustain most of the economies around the globe. All earlier recessions, whether be it 2008, or if you can say what happened in Cyprus, what happened in Turkey, and all those things, tourism and hospitality was the industry which was able to help them sustain. So what I feel is the demand amongst the students is going to be huge. They are going to be part of it, and they should not be worried on this angle whether they'll get sufficient placements or not. They are going to get very good quality placements, provided they are also able to maintain those educational standards. Yes, there's going to be certain change in the pedagogy. There's going to be certain change in the course curriculum. There are going to be certain change in aspects how the teaching is to be done, but that's going to be for the better and not for the worse. Go ahead, Jitesh. You were going to take another question.
Yes. What about the livelihood for the tour guides and taxi driver? Actually, maybe with regards to India, actually, Prakshat can highlight more. But let me have some shed some light on in a Malaysian context. Malaysian government has already announced actually some of the amount actually, like 2,000, 3,000, 600, 200, 500 for the different categories people, like what is their income. So the money is being allocated accordingly monthly for the next few months actually, probably. The second thing, tour guides and taxi driver, I'm sorry, actually in Malaysia normally the taxi driver are always crying actually, because the Uber and Grab and other private companies are very, very good actually. So it depends again, and again depends on the taxi drivers, the condition of the taxis, and the quality of the people actually, the skills and so on. If with regards to tourism industry, if tourism will grow within 6 months, within 1 year, definitely they will have a demand. Tour guides, I'm extremely sorry, at the moment we don't have a tourism at all. We are just having a virtual tourism, and tour guide can't really play that job actually. So tour guide have to hold with their skills for time being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jitesh, and I'll add further. Obviously, this is a question related to the scenario in India. And I think when this gentleman Ankit was trying to talk about taxi drivers, I think he must have taken Ola and Uber also into account, and all those drivers into account. See, again, the aspect taxi drivers or other suppliers we have, other stakeholders that we have, each one of them is going to have started their standards. And coming to the tour guides aspect, I think the tour guides would need to little bit hone their skills, grow up their skills, and add few things into their armory. I think technical knowledge, IT knowledge is going to be very important for these tour guides, because what I see is tour guides could also use all these digital mediums to build up, to work out what information they have and what all things that they have, maybe record their audios, record their videos, and start selling them online or something of that sort. That could be an alternate business, because if I have to go and see Taj Mahal, and if I want to know about the story, obviously I will not be Googling and trying to understand whole of the story. I would need somebody to tell me it in 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 25 minutes. So if a tour guide can start working on those packages, make those small guides over there and make them available for people, I think that could be one of the things that they could work up. But obviously at this moment, the scenario for them is a little bleak. But once the tourism starts going to grow up.
Again,
So
bringing that, yes.
Yeah, go ahead, go on.
Again, like tourism is a fragile, and it we can't really suppress that industry that long actually. Once the tourism is back, definitely the tour guide will have their job. And with regards to that, the soft skills or technical knowledge, definitely I think we all have to take this opportunity, that this is a time that we are taking so many free online courses, and we are touching what we didn't know, which we wanted to know so long, but due to the time constraint we couldn't. So probably this is the time actually we are learning different softwares, analytical tools, and so on. Webinar I wanted to have so long, but finally this is the COVID-19. Due to this COVID-19, I'm getting the chance, and I'm meeting most of you virtually. Thank you.
You'll take the next question, which is the second question. What will be the impact of COVID-19 on placements? So there's a question about the impact on placements. So I think this one is related to the again, the hospitality and tourism. If the admissions are there, if the students are coming in, obviously there are going to be job prospects for them, money making prospect for them. They may not definitely be getting jobs in other companies, but there'll be a lot of them getting, or will be in a position to start their own entrepreneurs, their own things for them in times to come. But as we are very optimistic, and as we have already seen also in a year recession, tourism has already again and again. It will be an issue, because if you have input, obviously there's going to be an output. If the students are coming in big number, obviously there are going to be placements for them. Jitesh, for you?
Exactly the same thing I would like to add on, because you have already mentioned about the placement. Actually, if there is an inflow, there will be outflow actually. And some more of course this industry is quite competitive industry. It's not everyone who how many graduates we have and everyone is having fantastic job. Definitely competitive world. So whoever is having qualitative skills and so on, actually some soft skills, including especially in a hospital industry. If you would like to work in a hotel, you should know more than few languages actually. Then definitely it's a advantage for you. And after some time, when we are back to business, the placements opportunity will be there. I would like to jump on question number 7. Is there any changes in hotel and resorts after this COVID-19? Well, so far COVID-19 is still going on, so I don't think so. Is there any change so far? The most of the hotels or resorts are temporarily closed, shut down their business. Most of the hotel which I know actually, and I have been stayed, so I'm getting their notification on my Facebook page, in my emails actually. No room at the moment, but we are selling meals actually. So they came up with a fantastic packages actually, especially for lunch, dinner. But don't come to our hotel, don't come to our restaurant actually. Book online, we will deliver you. Simple actually. But after COVID-19, probably once we are back to business, definitely they will have some the SOP or the with regards to security purpose. But with the passage of time, we will be back normal, and everyone will forget this COVID-19, how we forgot so many other crises. Back to you, Prof.
This is a very interesting question, and yeah, thank you. This is a very interesting question. Now, obviously, there's something which I have saved for my next presentation on 29th, where some of the strategies I was thinking of. So you better attend that particular session also, but I'll give you some insight. See, what the hotels are doing at this moment, as Dr. Jitesh pointed out, they are moving on these F&B production and all that. And the recent figures, 1% of a hotels or restaurants, big hotels and small hotels is coming from F&B production, and they have started takeaways and all those things and all that sort of stuff. There are going to be a lot of strategy change vis-a-vis hotels is concerned and resorts are concerned. What those strategies, how those strategies need to be worked up, built it up. I'll be discussing it in the next session that I have with all of you people. Yes, certain changes as we were the airlines and industry, it's going to be a very, very positive aspect for the hotel industry also. Jitesh, what is the next question you want to take?
Actually, there is a question in the chat, and that's interesting. What will happen to the newly open hotel and restaurants who have already taken loan from different institution and have to pay back? Definitely, they have to pay back until unless they don't want to be a hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, sir,
I can
please.
hear you.
Okay. Until unless they don't want to commit themselves bankrupt, actually. So, what are the policies they have to adapt? Rather than selling the hotel room at the moment, renting out the hotel room, they can have some backup business. They can do something else. But what exactly we are getting from the government at the moment? Government is adding on anything or not? Because here in Malaysia, government is quite cooperative, actually, especially for the middle class people, actually, the middle. In terms of income, actually, who is having a 3,000 or below, actually, they are contributing for the next 3-4 months, actually. Definitely they must have some strategies for the hotels and other industries which are directly hit. So again, going back to those institutions, going back to the government at the regional level or at the national level, what we can do, actually, or they can go back to those institutions where they have taken the loan, probably to pay back after some time once we are back, once we are done with this COVID-19. The same thing in Malaysia also done. The Bank Negara, the State Bank of Malaysia, has confirmed if you are supposed to pay in the next 6 years, actually, probably you have to pay in next 10 years or next 12 years, actually. So negotiation is still going on, actually, and it depends person to person or company to company. Those companies can go and discuss with them. Definitely we don't have money, we don't have this stack to pay right now. What can be the other options? So probably can be discussed.
Yeah, I'll add further to this particular thing. Obviously, over here, the roles of the governments is going to be very important. The roles of the banks is going to be very important. As in India also, the moratorium period for payment has been increased, and they have been given certain waivers vis-a-vis their installments are concerned for certain time period. In US, they have come out with payroll grants for the hotels and airlines. So where they are taking care of the salaries of the employees for next till October, I think, till October they are paid salaries and all that. And the industry has to make a commitment that they are not going to fire their employees in times to come and all that. Loans at 1% given, fresh loans or reworking of certain loans is being done, and at the interest rate of 1% are being given to lots of airlines in US. US government has come out with this particular plan, and they are going to pay this particular thing. But yes, the downside is in return, the government might take some equity in these airlines. So that could be one of those downturns of that particular thing. But yes, these are difficult times. Everybody's going through these difficult times. So this is bound to happen this way or that way. But still, if the governments can come forward, if the lending institutions and the banks can come forward and they can support all these institutions, it's going to be a very, very important aspect. But what I feel is that things will improve for the times to come. But yes, if there are crises, some losses have to be factored into, and some losses have to be taken into.
Definitely,
Yes.
actually, the number of countries, the banks in a number of countries, actually, they have contributed a lot. They came up with the different schemes, actually, except the credit card, actually, except the credit card payments, actually. If there are SME loan or institutional loans, actually, they have already discussed whoever have taken and what is your monthly installment and when exactly you have to cover up, actually. And so it can be case to case, actually, and can be discussed. Most of the banks and most of the financial institutions are already working on it. I'm looking at the chat, actually, and there are few questions from Kashif said, what will the impact of pandemic on students of tourism and hospitality after pandemic? Will tourism products, services price go down? With regards to your first question, we have already discussed what will happen with the students of hospitality tourism. Nothing will happen actually. Nothing will happen. Institutions, universities are there. They will finish their studies, and I'm sure the hotels are there. Tourism industry is there. They will get their job. It's just a time being actually. After some time, we are just back to the business. From Uruj Farooq, the have a lasting impact on the environment. I don't think so actually, personally. Well, for the time being, there is an impact actually. It's we are having economical impact, we are having a social impact, we are having environmental, and so many other. But after some time, we are just back. We will forget about it actually. Environmental, I don't believe so. But maybe a prof would like to have a highlight on this. Any impact of COVID-19 on environment?
See, it's this impact is for the positive. If we are talking about the environment in general, so it's a very important aspect. And as we get so many WhatsApp messages these days that Earth is taking a break and it's rejuvenating and it's breathing, and a lot of good posters are coming up. So although everything has its downside and upside, but this is an upside that we have, that the environmental pollution and all those things, global warming aspect. So we might be, whatever the expectations were or whatever thoughts were that global warming we are growing at. So this all could be sent back by a couple of years. So obviously a lot of things will improve. The oil production has decreased. So the usage of resources has decreased. Near about 80 to 90% of airline industry is down. Planes are not flying. So because of that, and a lot of factories are still not working. So because of that, and what about the carbon the travelers were leaving when they were traveling by air and all those things. So these are positive sides. Any drop in the ocean is good, and I feel that that the environment is going to be rejuvenated. It's going to be better for the environment. At least the pace at which the global warming was being accelerated, that is going to slow down to some extent. And that is going to be one of the sides of the COVID-19. So we have only 10-11 minutes left. What we can do is, Nikhil, you can copy down all the questions. We'll mail them to Jitesh, and he can give his replies, and I'll also add my replies. And
Sure.
We have our Facebook page also, on which we are going to put these particular things. So I know from our side, Dr. Ramjit was preparing all the notes, and he was trying to think of the summing up of things. And I'll ask him to give a brief summary of what has happened today, and maybe thank the experts. And maybe if Ruth has some after that, she can also pitch in. Over to you, Ramjit. Ramjit, you need to unmute yourself. Okay, I'll do it for you.
I've done it.
All the participants also, these are my details. If you have any concern, you can reach me directly also.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Before summarizing it or giving my reflection to this particular lecture, I would like to thank. I would like to give a special thanks to Dr. Jitesh from Delhi University and Professor Parikshit Singh Manhas from University of Jammu, and of course my co-host who's putting a lot of efforts behind this lecture, Mr. Nikhil Singh Chad. About this lecture or summarizing it, this is such a wonderful lecture delivered by Dr. Jitesh and Professor Manhas. There are certain issues they have highlighted in a common manner, and what happened, there are certain aspects like travel brand aspects or liquidity aspects, and maybe about this strengthening your domestic tourism, where we do have in India. It's a domestic tourism plays very vital role, and it of course is called as a backbone of India. And of course, we have to build up the trust among the travelers and the tourists, and encouraging them to travel. And I would say it's a chain of travels. You just because in order to encourage them to start a bit with the smaller distance or short trips, and then they may go ahead for the longer period of time. And of course, there are certain SOPs and certain aspects pertaining to certain protocols mentioned by both the experts. And that was also supported by the good examples by Dr. Jitesh, where the American Airlines has already started with it. And of course, the other sanitization or hygiene practices has been taken place. And of course, there is one great message as given by Professor Manhas about what we can do in order to, go for more transactions or the business transactions. And of course, the people are going to, it's a bit price conscious, but still the companies have to put a lot of efforts to provide the certain kind of the services and encourage them to travel. Of course, and of course, the role of the insurance companies has been highlighted, where the insurance companies come forward and develop certain kind of the mechanism. How can they really manage during the crisis? And of course, Dr. Jitesh had given us a very good message about how the tourism is a bit shrinking, almost 63.8% cancellation of the flights, and of course it is a real impact on the global economy, like the GDP, or he talks about the 50 million jobs is going to be lose. But still, we don't know exactly the period, at what extent it is the COVID-19 is going to affect our economy and to a certain extent. And of course, Dr. Jitesh has given us certain very realistic examples by quoting your New York city, where he has shown exactly from 32% to 68%, the downfall about the various sectors, whether it's in transition or retail or maybe other parks, where the people are not going outsiding for recreational activities, and maybe not buying certain kind of the grocery and products of the pharmacy. And of course, the another example he quoted, or as a given, tourism Barcelona, where the just before COVID-19, this one of the famous destination of the one of the famous destination in Europe, which were facing the over tourism problem, but still now is generally went to over tourism to no tourism. And of course, he had suggested a certain kind of the reflection or on the crisis, where we have to be isolated with nature or adaptive learning, where the multiple stakeholder approach we should have, and we should come forward to promote or to encourage or to encourage the people, or to encourage the countries to come forward and fight with this particular common crisis. And he has also given the example where the China has come forward and has created launching the platforms for the education sector for seniors and juniors. And of course, the knowledge sharing or peer-to-peer learning, he had commented. Of course, this is now this is a concept has been grown up, and still one of the example. This is only we have been conducting the international lecture series where the people are coming forward and giving the consent to share their views about this particular topics, or maybe the other academic topics we're going to have in the future. And of course, he has given the idea about or he has mentioned very critical success factors, which are he included or he has pointed out like strong brands. Well, example is given by him as the Malaysian Airlines, and is coming up, and better communication technology, focusing on restoring travel confidence. That well said by Professor Manhas also in earlier lecture, and this lecture also. We have to build the confidence among the travelers, and the best usage of the technology I think we may use. We may have certain other tools also, and a lot of the companies are coming forward, especially in IT industry. Here, Dr. Jitesh has given certain facts about the Zoom, about when it started in 2005, 10 million to now it's the 200 million jobs. And he also quoted the personal example where he was planning about to have virtual classes or virtual meetings or organizing webinars, but still this is kind of the opportunity he also feel. And even though personally I feel, or maybe the other students or the teachers or the other people also feel about it, this is also the opportunity for the education sector where people are sharing a common platform, sharing our views, and of course we are sharing our best practices in education sector. And of course, both expert has given very good mantra, I would say. Forget the COVID-19, because we do have a long history about the crisis, and crisis generally comes and go off. The show must be go on, and we should not think about it. Simply, we should follow certain protocols or certain instructions, maybe from the government, or we have to behave in responsible manner. And of course, the Bodhi expert has given very good this idea, and I hope everybody has enjoyed this lecture. And I have written a lot of points, but what happened due to the shortage of the time, I'm not able to cover it off, because this is such a wonderful presentation by Dr. Jitesh, covering each and every aspect of the crisis, or maybe the other side of the opportunities. You well said, sir. How we going to take it? Whether crisis is there, we're not going to deny, but still we have to think in a bigger way, and we have to come out of this crisis, and of course we have to work on it, develop the strategy during the crisis, and of course the COVID-19 also. And at the end, I would like to thanks to all of you, especially Dr. Jitesh, come up with good presentation, and Professor Parikshit Manas, he's our teacher and mentor. And since he has been dealing with the virtual classes from 2005, and it is a great platform is given by him to us also, being his scholars, or being our mentor. And of course, special thanks to Nikhil for inviting to or admitting the students, and right from like designing the posters and everything. And of course, the students from the different institutions, especially from my institution, from Central University of Kashmir or LPU, IIT Gwalior, IHM, then from Taylor University, Malaysia. It is great to see you here on this platform, and I hope we will be in touch, and stay tuned, or you can visit our Facebook page, or you may contact to the coordinators or maybe our experts. We're going to share all the videos or lectures on our web page. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And stay safe, stay healthy and active. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ramjit. Ruth, you have something to say?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And yes, in the comfort of our homes, we were able to hear from such renowned speakers, like Prof. Parikshit. Yes, he is a mentor and teacher. That doesn't put him very old, because he is a guru for all of us out here. And the key takeaways that he had for us, like domestic and religious, business travels and leisure travels, that was very insightful. And my very own friend, Dr. Jitesh, it was so interesting to listen to him speak about the statistics and the recovery, success factors and the winning formula back for the industry. It was a very good session for all the students, and a big thanks to all the esteemed colleagues and esteemed academics from Ambedkar University, Delhi, and from the other universities. I really can't imagine. I think there's a lot of them out here. And apologies from my head of school, Dr. Joachim, because he had some technical glitch on his Zoom. That's why he had to leave, unfortunately. And thanks to Associate Professor Dr. Kandapan, our very own friend and colleague, for bringing in this very wonderful collaboration. And yes, thank you so much. And from Taylor's University, we look forward to listening to so much insightful contributions and webinars. Thank you, Prof. Parikshat, and thanks to everyone. Thanks, Dr. GK.
Thank you. Thank you. Request to everyone participating, switch on your cameras. We'll have a digital selfie now. See, everybody who's participating, everybody, please switch on your cameras so that we can have a digital selfie. Everybody comes on, and yes, oh my God, there are so many pages. Yes, you need to take care of your hair. You need to brush up your hair, check your specs. Everybody should be picture perfect.
I believe there will be 3 selfies, right?
Yeah, there'll be 3 selfies. There are 3 screens, so we'll see. But everybody switch on. Yes, we are still waiting for a few so that we can start taking selfies. This is the best part. I like this part. So to have every student around, and so
virtual attendance.
Yeah. So here we go. The first one is taken care of. Please hold on. I'll take another shot at the first screen. Okay, now I move on to the next screen. Okay, still a lot of you have to click on.
And I believe all these are my students. So I request to all of you, please switch on your cam. I know you are at home, you are in whatever, so never mind, just show your face, please.
Yeah, that it's a good record. Somebody who doesn't have a webcam, that's fine.
It's fine.
That's fine. That's fine.
But I don't believe most of you doesn't have a webcam, please. Okay.
That is
Marcella,
behavior.
John, Kelly,
It's a virtual behavior.
April.
We have our own students also over here. Akshi is there. So switch on. Yeah, they're coming on. They're a little shy.
Okay. Dennis is there. Wow. Okay. Faster.
Dr. Pua has also not turned on his camera. Dr. Pua?
Yeah, not possible. Hi, everyone. Not possible because I'm out for shopping as our MCO was extended. I was extended yesterday. So I'm actually out now. So
okay.
All the best. All the best. Very nice session. Hope you guys enjoyed.
We can see your name at least. So your names are coming on this. That's fine. At least the names are coming in. So here I go. I'll pick the one because we'll put this on our website also. Okay, so now we go to the third page. There's nobody on the third page who has clicked on his Anish. Anish, go ahead, do it. Okay, so I'll just click this page. Okay, so thank you. Thanks a lot, Kandappan. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
We have more to be. We are looking for more collaborations.
Yeah. We'll have a nice one
also,
on 29.
We should also do the cross-cultural study on students' behavior on virtual webinars.
This